Hey guys, it's Jim Fuge, and this is guitarbyjimi.com. In today's free video lesson, I'm going to show you how to play the awesome lead break to Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and his Comets. And before I start, I do have to pay some homage here, man. This is 1954, and so before I show you the lesson, which of course will be off the record to the point of silliness, but before I show it to you, we really got to give kudos, man. And I open this up to discussion. If you have any comments, definitely send them after you hear what I'm going to say. The original guy who played this lead break, I wanted to look it up. His name was Danny Cedrone. So he was a session guitar player, and I think we owe this guy a lot, man, because I think this is the first, and be careful how you quote me, hold on, this is the first shredding guitar solo in rock and roll that I can think of. That's how I'm going to say that. Now, did guys shred before this, like in the 1940s and 30s? Yeah. You had guys like Django Reinhardt, Charlie Christian, all those guys? Definitely. So, but I'm saying in a rock and roll song, just come out blasting, shredding. I mean, this is a pretty hard lead break for its time, and it's still really hard. I mean, if you put this through a loud Marshall, it'll sound like, wow, who the heck is that guy kind of thing, you know what I mean? It doesn't need a Marshall to sound great because it's a great lead break anyway, you know what I mean? But my point is, this is shredded, man. This is rock and roll shredding guitar. So, now, having said that, like I said, was there shredders before this? Yes. Yes. That's, I'm not saying there wasn't. But, now, was there rock and roll guys who were heavy for their time? Really heavy for their time? Yes, there were. Now, we'll put it in context. This is 1954. I had to look it up on Wikipedia and all that. I think it was made in 1954 was when this song was released. It was written in 52, but anyway, it was released in this studio version in 1954, which is pretty early, man, for this stuff coming out. So, so that's that, right? But I looked up the other guys, too, like Chuck Berry. His first song, that on record at least, was Maybelline, and he's got a pretty heavy sound for 1955. So, but he's not shredding. I mean, he's playing great rock and roll. I mean, he was a pioneer, let's face it. Chuck Berry, come on. But I'm talking like, okay, you ready? Let's go. Out of the gate, like a racehorse, like a Van Halen kind of thing. Shred. Let's go. Just shred. Here's your time for your solo. Go. You got 10 seconds. Make it count. I mean, this solo just comes out of the gate, racehorse shredding. And if you don't jump on the train, you're never going to jump on. That kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Chuck Berry was great. But, Maybelline and other lead breaks, I wouldn't call them shredding, just blasting fast and incredibly hard, right? Still to this day. So again, I go back to that. So he's one guy who's a great rock and roller, but again, the first guy to really shred on a rock and roll record. I can't think of anyone else, and so I really want to give this guy credit, because I think for many years, 30, 40 years, he didn't get credit really for being the guy who played on this thing. He wasn't admitted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I think was a shame, but he was later. I was reading online before. So thank God for that, because we owe this guy a lot, man. He had a lot of nerve to do that in 54, play like that. Come on. So that's that, right? Then you guys like Ike Turner was really pretty heavy too for his day. 52, even 53, he was playing stuff, but he wasn't shredding. Again, I go back to exactly what I'm saying, and you know what I mean. So that's that. And then in a rock and roll situation, real typical 1-4-5. Typical rock and roll, heavy, and even the saxophones that come in later are really loud and heavy. You know what I mean? They're really recorded loud and pretty raucous for its day. And that whole album actually is really heavy. Is really great. I mean, all the songs in that album is a lot of heavy duty playing. Now, the only other guy I can think of too who was a shredder in a rock and roll situation, and I also got to give a lot of credit to, is Scotty Moore from Elvis's band. But from a pure, who was the first guy to do it and at least get it on record? Was Scotty Moore always like this? Yeah, I'm sure he was. He just happened to be this guy Danny Cedrone happened to get it. Cedrone, Italian guy, happened to get it on record first, I think. So Scotty Moore has done a lot of things with Elvis where he's really shredding, actually. And if you don't know that, you should go back and listen, because he does some hard stuff too, man. Really hard stuff. And Scotty Moore really influenced a lot of guys like Clapton, Page, and Beck. If you look into interviews with those guys, the English guys, they'll always say Scotty Moore was a huge influence on their playing. So, of course, he was up there too. But I'm talking about the first guy who really shred in a rock and roll record, for everybody to hear in 1954. So, as you can see, I can't pay enough homage to this guy. We owe him a lot, man. He had a lot of nerve. Everybody maybe was going... Well, you'd say, wow, that guy's a little too crazy. You know what I mean? This guy's coming out. I mean, you got to give this guy a lot of credit, man. Come on, you know? He opened the doors for a lot of people. One more time, Danny Cedrone. Look him up, Cedrone. He deserves a lot. And unfortunately, he died, I think, 2 months after this record came out. So he probably didn't even see the fruition that it came to, at least on this earth, you know? I mean, it's a crazy story. Unfortunately, he had a terrible accident. He fell down a flight of stairs and broke his neck instantly. Thank God, at least it was instantly, but just terrible. But just a strange story, but we owe him a lot, man, for what he gave us in that one little song, and plus that album is great, too. Definitely great guitar playing. So thank you again, Danny Cedrone. So let's go into what is really going on with this solo. Okay, so let's get on with the lesson. Hello again. Okay, so we're going to start. You're going to have a good right hand doing this, and what's important in this guitar solo is the phrasing. Phrasing is important because it's going to help you play it right. Because if you don't know how to phrase it right, you're just going to like this forever and ever and ever, and not really play it right. So the phrasing is important. One of the things, few things I'm going to point out here will help you a lot. The other thing is there's a lot of finesse in this guitar solo, a lot of finesse. So, you know, don't take anything for granted. So anyway, so we're going to start off. I'm going to explain it like this first to start. I'm going to do 4 times on the E. Then you're going to do G, F sharp. Okay. Then you're going to do twice on the E again. Then you're going to go G, E, F sharp, E. When you do the G, E, F sharp, E, that's it. It's not like picked 100 times. It's just one note each. Okay? Then you're going to do B twice. So we have this. Back to E twice. Then this is just straight through. Now I think it's interesting that he hit a B note, right? I mean, he made use of the open string. He could have done A or C sharp. But he did B because, well, it kind of makes it easier, right? Because he was doing all this fast stuff on the B string. But I'm sure he was conscious of the fact that it's lending itself to an A9. Okay. Okay, so, and by the way, the chords are, you know, it's a 1-4-5. Then you're going to do, I mean, you really probably only hear the high G, B, and E. But I would hold the 9th. In case you make a mistake, you get these in. It's not so bad. Then this, then. Okay, so. Okay, so it's 3 times in total. It's first time. I would stop at the F sharp for phrasing, and I'll tell you why later. So that's 3 times you got now, right? However, I want to just explain it to you like this because for the majority of the time that's how he plays it. Except the very first time, actually, he doesn't play it exactly like that. And this is why? Well, this is Guitar by Jimmy, and this is like if you want to get it down off the record to the point of silliness, then that's why. So, the first time he actually goes like this. And if you can possibly hear it, it is there, actually. It is there. So, now why did he do it like that? I'll give you my theory in a minute. So the first time only, he goes like this. Does the 4th thing. Okay? But then after that, it's just never picked extra times. Every note is just 1 time each. So it goes like this. That's it. Sounds strange slow? Yes, it does. But right? But then the second time he latches on. Now, why did he do it like that? First of all, I don't think this guy was too capable of making a lot of mistakes. I mean, he was a pretty damn good player. I think that, you know, ready, go. He's going like this. We're going to rock around the clock tonight. You know, the first time you jump in, out of the gate racehorse, it might be a little tough to get that perfect. It might be tough to get that perfect out of this. See? Try that. Try coming from the rhythm into that. So that could be the reason why he just jumped right into it. and he just got it out, but he didn't do the second and third time like the first time he did differently. Okay, that's what he's doing, man. Listen to it. You'll hear the first time is a little different than the second and third. Now, for all intents and purposes, practically speaking, you want to do it supposedly, quote-unquote, the normal way each time, feel free. But this is Guitar by Jimmy, and I'm just telling you exactly how he did play it. So let's do it from the top. Then he goes. 2 shots. Now I stop on the F sharp. Why? Well, because this is really important. To get the next part right, if it really helps you a lot, man, to stop on the F sharp in your mind, because the next E, even though it's still kind of the same part of the same pattern that we do in the first 2 times, the E is really connected to the next phrase, actually, if you listen to it closely. And the reason why I know this, well, because I can play fast, you know, but every time I've done this over the years, if I ever get it wrong, I'm like, why do I get that wrong? Because I'm fast, I can play the speed thing, and I'm like, haha. So I've realized that it's just not pausing, just pause a little bit after that F sharp and connect the E to the next phrase, and that's how you get the timing of this lead break right. Now, it's just hard to fathom at 100 miles a second, but it's true if you listen to it. The E is really connected to the next phrase. So, excuse me. Then you're going to do the E twice again, right? As if you were finishing the phrase, but really this is connected to the next one. And then you're going to do G, E, F sharp, E, right? 3 times, G, E, F sharp, E. Picked. Sorry guys, it's picked. You could use your pinky. Okay? And now what I see a lot of people get wrong on this, don't take this guy for granted. And I don't think it was a mistake, man, because there's other stuff coming up that sounds funny, and also don't think it was a mistake. The last time is F sharp, he does another time, and the last time is F sharp, E, not G, E. So, then F sharp, E. Okay? Some people just keep toggling back between G and E and F sharp and E, and lo and behold, the last one that they do is G, E. It's not. It's not. So, G, E, once, twice, 3 times now, and then F sharp, E again. Okay, so let's don't, you know, people just go. It's not G, E at the end, it's F sharp, E. Can't take this guy, he was a pretty tricky player, man. Don't take him for granted. So, now, he's going to bend from B to C. So, come down to B, A, F sharp. But the very first time that he does it, also, I don't think it was a mistake. Actually, he gets a little bit of the B string in from here. Just really ever so slightly. And maybe he did it because it was going so fast, but it lends itself to a nice effect. Like really very slightly, almost, it just, how do you say it? Muted. It's not like a note, you know, it's not that. You could just hear a little bit of it. So 3 times, and then the 4th time that you do it, also very interesting. It's kind of the same riff, but it's just phrased differently. And this is why the phrasing is important. So very first 3 times, excuse me, that little B. So you're going to really end on A, and you know, this is going really fast, but you pause. Instead of going right into, it's same notes, F sharp, right? But it's interesting, same notes, but yet it sounds very different because he's phrasing it differently. Very interesting lead break for its time. Right? F sharp. sharp, and then C sharp top. Right? Now the next riff that comes, right, which is a great riff, by the way. However, before he does this riff, and this is definitely on purpose, man, definitely on purpose, and this is going to lead me into a little discussion for a minute also, is an open G string. Not like this. It's, see how I tucked that in? That's on purpose. This guy going, it's going to make a mistake like this? I don't think so. He didn't make a mistake hitting that G string, man. That was on purpose, for effect. You hear that? Great. So the open G, but yet not as forcefully played as the rest of the thing that's coming up. Finesse, man. This is finesse, right? Because you want to go, right? But you know, amazing. So the open G is there. Quick. Then you're going to go C, C sharp. C, C sharp, E. Then F sharp, F, E. Then you're going to do E flat, D, C sharp. Okay. Okay. Now, some people go to C after that too. I got to be honest with you, I don't hear a C note there, and I think it's a ghost note. And this comes in later too. I think there's ghost notes in this later too as well. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of taking an isolated guitar track because it's 1954 and everything was done on 2 tracks, you know what I mean? So we can't isolate this lead. The bass is thumping, the snare drum, the shot of the snare drum is thumping, the kick, other stuff. So it's really, you know, it's hard to hear that if that C note's there or not, but to my ears, I don't hear it. So, and I think it's a ghost note. Yeah, I mean, it sounds almost like it's not right by not hitting the C note, but that's what ghost notes do to you, don't they? You want to hear this. So when you don't play it, well, now I'm isolated. I'm not with the band, right? I'm not with the Comets right now. If I was with the Comets, it might sound right? See, it's not. I don't think it's there. I got to be honest with you. I do listen for that. So that's that. So. And this is hooked onto this. Okay, and then you're going to go into the next thing. Now, this open G string, this open string preceding a riff, you know, that was done later by, you know, that's an interesting technique. That was done later by Richie Blackmore, and Eddie Van Halen was, and also Randy Rhoads too. Eddie Van Halen was big on doing that, preceding a phrase with an open string technique. You know what I mean? It's interesting texture that it lends to the guitar playing. So. See? So, again, I don't hear the C note there. So it just stops at C sharp. Then the next thing you're going to do is this chromatic run, which is pretty much, and it's all picked, unfortunately. So from the E string all the way up to that low E string. Then you're going to go A flat, E. A flat, E, E, excuse me. Okay. Now this part is really hard to hear. It's almost like it's not even there. I mean, he's playing it really quietly. But I do hear something in there. Then you hear, you know, so you got that. Then you're gonna go. And then let me just do that and end it. So, but then the last riff is A, C sharp, chromatically up, D, D sharp, and E. Now, you know, believe it or not, I'm actually guilty of this too. I really want to go double pick the first two. But I'm telling you, man, I don't think it's double picked. I think it's just straight. And so part of it's ghost notes, and part of it is, I'm telling you, I think it's the smack of the snare drum at the same time you would think you should hear a double pick. I swear to God, I think that's what it is. I listened to this part so many times over, and I really just think he's just going. So, now, also, what's interesting is, so that's it. So, but this part over here now, you know, it's interesting. It's pretty advanced for its day, right? Because he took a lot of chance doing a chromatic thing, you know. Part of it, hey, did he think I'm on the E chord in the key of A? That works. That's a little dissonant. Now we're getting crazy, right? The C note, you know, then this kind of all works. Then, but it's so fast that, you know, somehow, in some regards it doesn't matter, right? It's so fast, it's such passing tones that it doesn't really matter. It's not like you're going, you know, you're not doing that. It's going so fast that it doesn't bother your ear, kind of thing. So, now, what's interesting to me is that, you know, I looked for a video online with Bill Haley's comments, if anybody played this in the original band, but unfortunately this guy, Danny Cedrone, died right away, unfortunately. God rest his soul, but, you know, the guy who replaced him, I forget what his name was, Frank Beecham or something like that, Beechin, and obviously he was a good player. Anybody in Bill Haley's band was good. You know, there is one video and one video only of this guy playing it, and it sounds pretty off the record. So I'm just curious to see how he did this part. You think he's maybe moving a little bit over here, but again, you know, does that guy know exactly what was played on the record? I don't know. Did what's his name? Danny Cedrone show him the lead break? I don't know. I don't think so. So I think he had to go by what he had too, and you know, I see guys kind of move around over here on the G string. This guy moves a little out of step. He goes like around to the 3rd fret, and I'm just wondering why. But, you know, again, what I'm saying is on the actual original studio recording, this part, especially, I didn't take this for granted. I listened to it hundreds of times, and I really do believe it's just this chromatically going down, right? So just FYI on that. And I did listen to it many times. You know, if you're going to say, oh, well, he went over here because, you know what, some of these notes are dissonant, well, that makes no sense because half of these notes are not are dissonant, right? Because it's all chromatic. You know, half of these notes don't make sense at all. So if this guy moved over, it wasn't because notes were dissonant. It was because maybe you wanted to trick us. I don't know. But, again, you know, we never saw this guy play it live, unfortunately. There's no video that I've ever seen. If anybody has it, share a link. But there's no video I've ever... It's too bad, too, unfortunately. But like I said, it was only 2 months later that he passed away, but or less. And there's no video of this guy playing it live, which would be interesting to see. But again, you know, notwithstanding all that, I have to go by my ears, and my ears really... And I don't assume when I listen. I really do listen. And I really do hear the chromatic fully in this position, in the 4th position, and the 4th position only. Okay, so that's, having said that, one more thing I want to mention before I forget is, you know, when you got a riff like this, so this fast back and forth, you know, you can get a little tongue-tied over here. So one trick, this is a good trick, man, when you're doing something really this fast, I mean, you could do the pinky throughout the whole thing, except for this fast part. Sometimes it's good to get rid of a finger and just use one finger because it's usually less chance of a mistake. So you see that? As opposed to... because you got to jump up and down. It's a little tougher. If you use one finger, sometimes it makes it easier. Nice little trick. Okay? So let's try it from the top. You know, and then you got the... So, you know, the rhythm is... I would personally hold my hands on a ninth, just in case you get those other strings in. You know, if you get them in, why not? It's kind of cool. Alright, let's try it slowly. a little faster, and then we'll do it fully up to speed. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I should be using this finger. But I'm doing it slow, that's why I'm not doing it. 3 times. And one more time with the F sharp E. Get a little bit of that B in there. Pretty cool. Now, needless to say, I should have said this, but you know, when you're encountering fast stuff in this song, it's all down up, all down up. All right. So now, it's another trick about doing this is that when you get like a lead break like this, where you got really fast picking, instead of concentrating so much on the picking, concentrate just on, you know, when the fretted hand moves. Concentrate on when the fretted hand moves. So just concentrate on this hand and just let this guy keep the right rhythm on the picking hand. And now another thing you could do is, you know, just so again, if you want to do it all the same way, that's fine. Again, this is Guitar by Jimmy, but I'm telling you, the first time is, believe it or not, it really is. Listen to it. But anyway, if you want to do it all like this, that's fine. Okay, and you want to keep your hands on there because you're going. By the time you do this up to speed, you can't go. You gotta go. Okay, so let's try it again slowly. Always on that A note, by the way. Flat note in there, that's pretty cool. Also pretty cool for 54. Come on, man, 1954. Oh, Les Paul, of course. He was one of the other great guitar players of his time. But he was a shredder too, actually. Ooh, I got to think about that now for a minute. But as far as something on record, I mean, he was a shredder. There's no doubt about it. Actually, he was doing some pretty crazy stuff for his day too. But was it more in a real 145 rock and roll kind of song? I don't know. You know, he was a shredder. There's no doubt. Les Paul. He was just ridiculous guitar player and genius too, right? He's really the guy who created the recording studio, and his guy Seth Levitt created the pickup. I mean, give me a break. And he happened to actually create this guitar too now, didn't he? Anyway, so now if you notice, whatchamacallit, what was I going to say? So you notice how when you pause on this F sharp, it really helps. Really helps a lot. Now, is this going to be easy when it's up to speed? No. But it does help your mind, now that I'm telling you this, to kind of just pause on that F sharp and make this E note coming up next as part of the next phrase. Okay? It really helps. Because otherwise you're just going to go, just going to be jamming and jamming and jamming and really not play it right. And actually this is pretty cleanly played, considering. So the thing on this is, well, to be honest with you, chromatics are a great exercise in general. How do you get this down? You really got to be a good picker. You got to practice. And this part, you know, you don't want to do that. It's really quiet. Again, it's finesse. You're going from, you got to, it's actually pretty quiet. So it's hard playing, man. You're going from blasting to a little quieter. If you want to double pick it, but I really don't hear it. Like I said, I'm guilty of it myself. So let's try it a little quicker. Here we go. See, I made the mistake myself. I hit it twice again too. But like I said, and this is not even fast. Yeah, when you're up to speed, you know, if you do it the same way every 3 times, the first 3 times, then fine, whatever. But like I said, I want to point out that that is what he's doing. Pretty cool, huh? Not bad for 1954, man. I mean, let's face it. Like I said, I go back to my original point. I cannot think of another song that came out earlier in a rock and roll, real rock and roll, 145. That came out with a shredding lead break. Guys, give me all your comments. I'm curious what everybody thinks. So that's that. And let's try it up to speed and see what it sounds like. Okay, see you in a few seconds. Okay, let's try it up to speed. Now before I do this, I went back and listened to the record just to get into the rhythm, just to make sure I do play it fast enough, because it's a really fast lead break. Gonna rock, gonna rock, gonna rock. That double pick too by accident. See that? It is a habit. But actually it was pretty close. I could have got the chromatic a little better, I think. Let me try it again. By the way, so like any hard lead break, the hardest part for me on this, and maybe you too, maybe the chromatic is not for me, but the hardest part for me is that's going really fast, man. Sometimes just practice the hard part. Separate the riffs out. Separate the lead break. Cut it in pieces. This is the part that's troubling you. Then just do it. Slow down if you can't get it right. Okay, that's the hardest part for me. But everybody's different. If you can't get this, again, slow it down. Okay, so let's try it again. And talk tonight. Okay, I think it was pretty good. The trick to that is just be a good picker, man. Down, up, and it's all in the wrist, baby. All in the wrist. Don't jackhammer. Don't jackhammer. Let me just make sure you can see my wrist. Nice and relaxed, believe it or not. And what you can do for this is just take a string at a time. What makes it hard is jumping from strings, but just take one string. got to try and time the timing of your picking with this hand. Okay, let me try it one more time because it's such a good lead break. It's hard, man. It's a rocking song, man. Those saxophones. I could have probably played that last time better, but I think one of the two times that I played it was pretty on, and you can hear it up to speed. Again, it really is. You know, when you come out of here, ready to go, you could see why maybe he went. Then he jumped on the train. All right. Well, I'm Jim Fuge, and I hope you've enjoyed this lesson as much as I've enjoyed teaching it. Let's pay homage, man, to this Danny Cedrone. Thank you, Danny, for maybe opening the doors to shredding and rock and roll. We got to say it, man. You know, that guy was a great guitar player, period, the end on that. And I'm glad he got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, actually. He did. And he got recognized for being in Bill Haley's band, which he really should have been recognized for. Come on, man. He was on that first album. It wasn't just Rock Around the Clock, but the whole album is rocking, man. It's really rocking. I mean, so this guy was really ahead of his time. And obviously, as you can see, I can't say his name enough. He deserves it, man. He opened the doors to a lot of us, for a lot of us. And if you've ever wondered how to play this blinding guitar solo off the record, well, now you know. And all the little nuances I said in the song, in the solo, go back and listen, man. They're really there. They're really there. So I'm Jim Fuge, and I hope you've enjoyed this lesson as much as I've enjoyed teaching you. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for visiting my website and all that, and buying videos. I do appreciate that very much, and telling your friends. And thanks for joining me, and I'll see everybody on the next video. Okay, thanks, guys. See you soon.